The Donkey Kong Country series has some incredible levels. Stages that have an unparalleled sense of flow as the Kong of your choice smashes through everything in their path, pilfering every secret, balancing between moments of tremendous tension and liberating bursts of speed and success. It's a series designed to get the most out of its mechanics, always experimenting, always pushing just how it can make its main characters shine and elicit new feelings of both empowerment and dread out of its players. The series constantly tries out new ideas while never abandoning the old that makes it great, and remains intuitive, clever, and a blast to play all the way through. These are the levels that don't do any of that. As much as I love Donkey Kong Country, even I'll admit there's quite a few stages that miss the mark in celebrating what the series does best. Winky's Walkway is so short it barely qualifies as a level. Chimp Caverns is filled with so many forgettable levels, people forget the whole world even exists. Red Hot Ride has big conveyance issues with its balloons and is just kinda dull even when you do get it. Rocket Barrel stages from Returns having only one hit point was a very ill-advised decision. Shoal Atoll combines the changes to Tropical Freeze swimming mechanics with an experimental, non-linear design that makes it a constant annoyance filled with loading screens more than it is clever. However, it's Donkey Kong Country 3 that has the worst stage in the series, for my money. And no, it's not Squeals on Wheels. Usually the millhouse where you have to destroy hard-working rodents is the first level detractors of DKC3 will point to when saying the game oversteps its bounds with pace-breaking gimmicks that ruin the natural flow of the series. And while it's not my favorite level, I like the part where you fall way down. It's like, wee! It's just a really cool set piece. Makes my brain go. Nah, there's one stage that shoots itself in the foot even harder. One that should be good, but is not only ruined by a poorly implemented gimmick, not only fails to capture the feel of DKC worse than almost any other stage, but actively decides to frustrate players who just want to play the damn game. A level where you don't need to take any responsibility for your own weaknesses or failings. You can just blame the level. Barrel Drop Bounce doesn't appear like a stage that would even contend for worst in the series. It uses an absolutely gorgeous waterfall backdrop with a beautiful, serene background track that evokes some of DKC3's best music cues. Perry the Parallel Bird is here, and he's always a fun little challenge. It doesn't have annoying enemies like the Cat of Nine Tails or Cuff and Clout who... Why? I didn't even touch you! It's got the only crate in Donkey Kong Country 3, which is cool because... world building? There's nothing about Barrel Drop Bounce that screams this level is gonna suck outwardly. Instead, it features all of Donkey Kong Country's worst aspects more subtly, bringing each one out to the forefront to mingle with each other, and creates a level that is truly nuanced in its terribility. Let's start with the main feature of the level, barrels. At regular intervals, barrels will slowly descend from a waterfall, acting as falling footholds for Dixie and Kitty to jump between. Things drifting down waterfalls to use as platforms is nothing new. Mario 2 did it almost 10 years prior. However, barrels make for less reliable platforms than falling logs, for some reason, featuring awkward, rounded edges that the Kongs sometimes just slide off of. This necessitates a lot more precision in landing on these platforms, and in a game like Donkey Kong Country that carries your momentum so well, it's pretty easy to overshoot. but that's not too bad on its own. Platform boundaries made of spaghetti have been an issue for the whole series, and these horizontal barrels are a bit more spacious than the vertically oriented ones the player tackled in Bobbing Barrel Brawl. These shouldn't be a problem, except that these barrels cause a lot of lag if there's more than a few on screen. DKC is a remarkably smooth series, relying on its sense of flow to guide a player through a level, letting them follow after trails of bananas to nail perfect runs. Lag obviously interferes with that sense of flow, Dixie and Kitty controlling so delicately in the air that overcorrection is simple and progress destroying. Add in the fact that you're jumping in between slippery rounded surfaces toward cliff sides that are also slippery rounded surfaces composed of vague suggestions of solid ground, and any overcorrection means you're falling down the waterfall, making this little problem a whole lot bigger. Oh, and of course, the barrels have trouble spawning in too. DKC works on proximity-based timers, with automation like swinging vines, jumping spiders, and yes, falling barrels starting up as the Kongs approach, rather than being on global timers that run for the whole level. This usually creates a sense of consistency, always able to take a jump at just the right time as you approach, and makes replaying levels a whole lot easier and more enjoyable, with a consistent sense of progression. But now we're taking that consistency away. Vertical barrel spawn planes intersect with each other a lot more easily than horizontal timers like vines, forcing you to wait out cycles for new ones to come in, wondering what you did wrong, why can't you move on? And it just feels oddly sloppy for the series. I know I'm not the only one who spent way too long stuck on this screen as a kid.
Don't forget, you're here forever.
But you know what? I could forgive all of that if the stage was generally fun. Some stages with somewhat sloppy mechanics are my favorites out of the whole series, as long as they're able to be toyed with in a deeper way or delve into the other core tenet of the series, exploration. Combing a level for secrets is one of the most fun aspects of the DKC series. And Barrel Drop Bounce screws that up too. Most secrets in DKC are hinted at, either by trails of bananas or an actual hint from Cranky Kong, telling a player that something might be a little off right here so they don't go hugging every single wall looking for a hidden passage. So, of course, the first secret in Barrel Drop Bounce is off this cliff totally unmarked, and there's just this little area specifically for killing coin. And the first bonus level you do is this barrel jump, and then you do it backwards with no hint to actually, go backwards. But it's there, so there you go. And Cranky helping you out? Nah, he's way too busy losing his wife's life savings at carnival games to give any hints on where any of these things are supposed to be. Figure it out yourself, Dixie. You're not worth the old man's time. Now, these aren't isolated issues. DKC3 hides stuff in unmarked areas a lot more than I'd like. But Barrel Drop Bounce is a very vertically oriented stage. The level is teaching a player very early on that they should check everywhere for bonus areas, even if it doesn't look like anything is there. Which means, more often than not, they're going to jump to an area, fall down, and have to replay a chunk of the semi-functional level in order to get back to where they were, so they can check the next ordinary-looking hole or cliff edge and jump down that, and then there's nothing there either, so they go back up the level to the next cliffside and... that'd be pretty frustrating. Except there are areas that look like they might have some secrets that are hinted at like regular Donkey Kong Country secrets, but there's nothing on this platform either. It just brings you back. Why are you here? Why won't you let me die?
Finally, God, take me. I want it now.
And because the level is very thin on enemies and pits are way down at the bottom, there's never any sense of tension or consequence to a player's actions. Just dull, repetitive frustration. climbing the same waterfall over and over again to try and find a bonus stage that, go get this, that sometimes isn't even accessible.
What?
Yeah, because of the lag on this stage, sometimes the barrel that's supposed to come down after a player takes a leap of faith toward the second bonus barrel just doesn't show up. The stage can actively tell you, nah, you were right, but we're not going to tell you that you were right unless you got a really good glide with Dixie, so feel free to look around everywhere else though. And is really, really disappointing. Also, the first bonus stage sucks because of lag. Sometimes you can't even get the green bananas because they spawn in a weird place and, it's just bad. Just thought I'd bring it up.
You suck.
There are redeeming elements to Barrel Drop Bounce. The Parry the Parallel Bird section, while only netting the player a 2-up as a reward, is ultimately decent fun and gives the player the only sense of risk in the whole level. The atmosphere is great, and that's about it. The level takes the worst traits of the Donkey Kong Country games, unsure hitboxes, technical ambitions falling short and hampering the gameplay, occasionally poorly placed bonus challenges, and combines them with a stage layout that ensures the level will be as non-threatening and boring as it is frustrating. It fails to work with casual players due to its technical shortcomings, fails to work with completionists due to inconsistent treasure hunting rules, and fails to work for speedrunners and repeat playthroughs due to both. I would call it a disappointment that bogs the whole game down, but Crackshot Croc is immediately after and that level is fire. So Barrel Drop tends to be quickly forgotten in the grand scheme of things. But I do think it's a very important reminder of what ambition and experimentation can do if they work counter to everything a game's taught before. String things together carelessly and work against the core feel of your game, and you could easily end up like the worst level in all of Donkey Kong Country.